Welcome. My name is Penelope Chatterton. Welcome to Awaken the Dream. My friends, I have a new friend that we know each other from somewhere and we're still working on it. Her name is Carla Priest. She is a nurse. She is a healing, holistic coach. And she has a story to tell us, and she has a book to show us that's coming out, and we want to celebrate Carla today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Penelope.
Awaken the Dream. You are very awake. You have a mission, and it's beautiful.
Yes, yes.
And I want to hear about it. I want to hear your story, because our friends who watch this show just love stories. Why people do what they do. Why are they in healing modes? Why do they... And you are also into Western medicine. You've... let's see, what do I remember? That you've been at the college, you have worked with the Boston medical people. What else can you brag about? We want to hear it.
Oh, I don't want to brag.
Yes, but we want to hear it.
Well, I was a graduate professor at Boston University for a while. Yeah,
that's
3 years actually.
Did you like it?
I did. I did. But at the master's level, many of those nurses were really in leadership positions, so it was very exciting. But that was allopathic medicine.
And what does that mean?
Allopathic is Western.
Okay.
Or we want to call it Western.
Yes.
And what this book is about is integrated medicine.
Okay.
What happened was, why I wrote the book, is I fell ill myself.
Oh.
At 52, I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease.
Oh.
And it was a result of a drug that I took in my 30s. Can you imagine?
No.
Here I am, a nurse, knowing all that I did know, but not recognizing that certain tests weren't done at certain times. So anyway, to make a long story short, I learned everything I could about alternative and complementary medicine. And what I did was use my allopathic background and brought the alternative and complementary in with it and developed an integrated medicine approach. Integrated medicine.
I think I keep thinking of Bernie. You reminded me a little about Bernie Siegel's work, because he's always saying, "Now do it all."
He's one of my heroes.
Do the Eastern, do the Western, do it all, and don't.
Love turns pain into medicine. He's going to actually write a blurb for my book.
Wonderful.
So it's so dear of him.
He's
really
a sweet guy. He's a sweet man. So you found, now this particular medicine didn't ring a bell when you were in your 30s that this might have caused a problem. There was nothing on the label that said precaution.
No. Well, there wasn't something on the label, but what happened was I took the precautions as a nurse, got my tests done and all the rest of it, but what happened was one of the other tests I didn't know about, and the doctor failed to do that. So anyway, listen, it's a long story, it's in the past.
It is.
And what happened was, it was a gift. I mean, it's terrible to say chronic kidney disease is a gift, but it is.
Of course.
In the sense that it helped me discover how to heal. And the book is about healing in the sense that we can heal anything. We can heal a wound, a relationship, a body, and what this book is about is healing the 5 bodies. So we're talking about, my philosophy is that we have 5 bodies. We have a spiritual body, a mental body, an emotional body, an etheric and electromagnetic body, our personal space, and then we have a physical body. And what I discovered was, in my own falling ill and also in my clients, see, I've been doing my healing coaching for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
And everybody that comes to me is a total gift for me, because I help them integrate their medicine, so to speak.
They can come to you with a particular illness or depression, and a lot of anything.
It can be emotional. It can be, obviously emotional and mental go together. It can be physical. Very often, though, it's cancer. Very often it's chronic kidney disease, or I mean chronic cancer of some kind. Some chronic disease.
And they're on medications, and then do you often find when they come to you they're doing a lot of different things?
They're doing lots with allopathic medicine, and not too much with alternative and complementary. In fact, many of them come to me and they say, "Look, my doctors say that I have 3 to 5 months to live, and I'm going to try to think outside the box and do everything I can." So I started out by doing Reiki primarily, and then I work with craniosacral. I do some reflexology. I do polarity. You name it.
I noticed that. You name it.
Well, you name it is right.
It's wonderful.
So, but I'm use myself as a laboratory, because I learned how to do all this other stuff so I could help myself, so I could help other people.
Yeah.
So, but what turned out is I taught in the hospitals in Boston many times. Dana-Farber, I was at Brigham and Women's, I was at Beth Israel, you name it.
Yeah.
And what happened was Dana-Farber decided, one of my students who I taught Reiki to, I've been teaching Reiki for 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
She said, Carla, I'm part of patient education for people up here. Could I recommend you to them if they're on the Cape and they're coming from the Cape and what have you? And I said, absolutely.
Oh,
if they want to explore, I'm not an acupuncturist, but if they want to explore energy medicine. So
you're young yet. I'll wait and see if you.
Oh no. Not young. I just turned 70, so it's like, wow, it's great. I'm really happy.
You're a beautiful 70-year-old.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I keep thinking with all that you learn, you'll never stop studying something. The doors keep opening. I'm sure new things come along.
Well, that's how we stay young.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
You have got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do say, someone recently said you have a shorter demise period when you're very active. If you live your life fully.
Yes.
Whereas if you don't do a whole lot, it could be extended.
Well, I learned earlier that you're a dancer. You dance, you run,
I sing.
You sing. Great. You're celebrating your voice, living out loud.
Yeah, music is just, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's very healing for me.
Well, I swim a lot.
All right.
I do a little yoga. And I do walking. I don't run, though.
Yeah.
I don't run.
Yeah. And if you wanted to recommend to your friends who are battling things, I think you just said something so powerful that exercise, no matter how whatever works for you. I personally just feel it's so important to move. Get your heart moving, and it's good. Those endorphins, it's just good for the soul.
And speaking of the soul, I want to say that there are 5 bodies, as I said earlier.
Yes.
And really what I believe is that we fall ill when the spiritual body is not connected to source, when it's not connected to purpose, when we lose our sense of self, when we lose our sense of our soul contract. And why did we come here?
Yeah.
What are we supposed to be doing? So the spiritual body goes, in a sense, it comes out of alignment, okay?
Yeah.
And then we feel it in the mental body. We feel it in the emotional body, depression, grief, whatever, the feeling, anger, fear, whatever. Yeah. And then the etheric body goes, the electromagnetic body goes. Yeah. And there's a whole chapter in here on many of those. So in order to heal the spiritual body, we finally get to the physical body through these other bodies. Yeah. And so in the spiritual body, in order to heal the spiritual body, I believe we have 5 S's.
5 S's.
And I call them spaciousness, silence, softness, slowness, and surrender.
Ah, I love that last one.
Yeah, surrender, letting go.
Yeah.
Well, actually, in my loft, I do a lot of meditating. And in my loft, there's a beautiful sign that says, how well did I live? How well did I love? How well did I learn to let go? Yeah. And that letting go is...
That's key.
Fascinating.
The Course calls it the shift.
Yeah.
Goldsmithians call it the click.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And if we do our homework and we remind ourselves on a daily basis of who we are and what we are capable of envisioning and shifting, we got our tools.
Precisely.
It's wonderful.
Could I read you a little passage?
Please, I'd love to hear.
Because this is a memoir, part self-healing, and part stories of my clients over the 20 years that I've been with them.
I bet you've learned so much from them.
This one woman that came, I'll use her an example because I write about her under softness, okay?
Okay.
So for the holidays, I gave my long-term clients who have been living with cancer fleece comforters. I gave a red one to Karen, who has been an inspiration over the last 10 years as she beat the odds against a particular invasive brand of cancer, and a lavender comforter for Julia. Both Karen and Julia share the diagnosis of cancer. Each of them have been living examples of how softness has played out a part in their healing. The gift of a comforter was intended to be a reminder of the role softness plays in our healing. I am talking about the softness we give ourselves and others. When Julia arrived on my doorstep, many years ago, both of us were all angles and theories. And she came up the steps wearing a green and gray baseball cap to cover her hairless and beautiful shaped head. I knew we had an indelible agreement to work together. Julia entered my life and my house in a bold sweep of determination. And I take her through this.
Written.
Yeah, well, thank you. But and it's taken me a long time to learn how to write nonfiction. Okay. I mean, I've had all this academic background, you know, R.N. Masters. I mean, and I used to think I'm a firebrand, like you, and a recovering workaholic, shall we say? Okay.
Type A.
Yeah. Well, definitely, I was
overachiever.
Now I think I'm an AB. But I used to go around getting these degrees and getting these big jobs and all the rest of it, and placing my ladder against the wall and climbing to the top, achieving whatever it was I was supposed to achieve at the time, and then realizing when I got to the top that was against the wrong building. The ladder was against the wrong building. So I learned very quickly when I fell ill at 52 that I really had to get off the racetrack. You know, I was building a curriculum vitae. What curriculum means? Curriculum means a vitae, a resume.
Resume.
Okay. Yeah. Curriculum means a racetrack. So I had to get off the curriculum vitae path and really develop a life curriculum. And that's what I've done by healing both myself and others through my own healing.
Yeah. So. You know, one of the themes on this show that's a constant, which you're reminding everyone that's watching this program, is everyone does have a special something to do, and it will just unfold. You've got all these periods, the blue, the pink, and all of them are necessary to unwind and all of a sudden to unravel the ultimate mission. And all of yours paid off. You learned. I mean, we go down these detours, and what you did was right at the time. But then, time to try this, and then it's just a wonderful journey. But isn't it great to have a mission?
Well, I mean, yes, absolutely, and everything pointed in that direction.
Keeps you
ultimately,
healthy.
But I mean, for example, as a nurse, when my children were being born, I taught natural childbirth and went through the natural childbirth and all the rest of it. I love nursing for that reason, because you can parlay it into anything that's going on in your own life story. And then I went from there to teaching. I started teaching at 3 level, and then the 4th level, and the graduate level, and you know, as you learn, you kind of move ahead. So. And then as I got older, believe it or not, I was into public health, and I was director of public health in Bedford, Mass.
In Bedford,
for 12 years.
12 years.
It was fascinating. This has got a public health message too, though. The public health message is the 4th leading cause of death is properly prescribed and properly taken drugs, and that's exactly what I did. Properly prescribed.
Properly prescribed.
Exactly, and properly taken. That's the 4th leading cause of death in this country.
Wow.
So big pharma is...
I believe it.
Yeah, definitely. So in public health, my public health role, though, I was doing a lot of hazardous waste management. I was running the school health nursing program. We had many nurses. We did a lot of outreach for the youngsters and their families and what have you. It was very, very interesting. And then, of course, all the vaccination clinics and all that stuff. So we did a lot.
You have learned so much.
Yeah.
And then you're at the college, or you were?
Then I got older, right?
You did.
So I decided
How dare you?
I'd try to run the gerontology program, and I did for 3 years. They called it the Center for Successful Living, and I kind of like that.
That's wonderful.
The Center for.
And what did you do there?
Well, I brought in a lot of speakers and ran ARP programs per se. I mean, ARP speakers came. We had people like Ted Kennedy came, and way back,
how wonderful.
all the people that were involved with outreach, elder services on the Cape, all the Council on Aging, you know, all that. And so wonderful? I got to know the Cape really well, because I hadn't lived on Cape. I've lived on Cape for 22 years now.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. So before I came, I was doing all this professional work.
Yeah.
And I mean, professional work here obviously was an outcry, but what happened was I was going 100 miles in a 55-mile lane. And I got to the cave and I said, oh, I'm not sure I like it here.
You can't go fast down
you
here.
You had to go slow. And it's interesting, I read the chapter about slowness, because when I first came here, I was coming off this, Commissioner of Health stuff, and big job, 24/7 practically, 17 people on my staff and all the rest of it. And then I got to the Cape, and my husband said he wanted to move here, and I was kind of dubious. I didn't know whether I'd find the job that I really wanted, and I didn't right off the bat. But I learned how to slow down a little bit, and let that firebrand piece. But I was still pumped up. I used to call the Cape the parochial peninsula. Can you believe that?
Have you noticed in the last 22 years how
snobbish that was?
Yeah, how much faster we've gotten? More people?
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid too.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Move somewhere else? Find another island?
Well, I live in an island. We have a sanctuary on a pond.
Oh,
and that's where I have a treatment center in my house.
I want to hear about it. It's the Sunlight Wellness?
Sunlight Wellness. That's the name of the practice.
Okay.
But my practice is really, it's a business, but it's more of a practice in the sense that I have people come in and to the treatment center, and when they see me for 2 hours.
Oh,
and
like that.
Usually, and so I can deal with the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, etheric, and physical.
You really
bodies.
get to know them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when the first hour we do the assessment, much like I was doing with you with your hand that was just recently operated on. I mean, we just get to know what were their stresses and what brought them to this place of either disease or illness or impairment or whatever it was. And invariably I find, particularly with my cancer clients, that 2 to 3 years before then, the stresses in their lives were so huge that obviously the triumvirate of the 5 bodies were affected in that order. And so the second hour, they go on the treatment table, the massage table, and I actually do tailor-make that process. I'm not a massage therapist, but I do all the energy work that's involved. So I call it kind of the vibrational medicine piece.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. They leave glowing.
And I bet they're encouraged. I bet they have someone that really understands and that can contribute and
they're
can
not
work
just
with.
seen for 5 minutes or something like that.
I know.
Now, what's happened with writing the book, I mean, it's taken me 7 years to see clients and also teach, because I've been teaching many years, usually at NOS Adult Ed, but also at the college and what have you. So,
I've taught it.
I know you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you teach?
A Course in Miracles.
There it is.
I wonder if that's it.
Maybe that's where you know me from.
Maybe.
Because we recognized it immediately.
I know.
Yeah.
So where are you going to have this book signing?
It's going to be at the Yellow Umbrella Books, the release actually is Yellow Umbrella Books, Main Street in Chatham, October 20th from 3 to 5.
I bet you're excited.
It's going to be a real party. I'm going to have lots of sunflowers out there. I'll have some champagne. I'll have a little bit of apple bubbly for people.
Wonderful.
And, cheese. And many people have been asking, because I've taught over 1,000 people in terms of Reiki. Alternative complementary.
Goodness, I'm not surprised somehow.
But they've been asking me, Carla, when is this book going to be done? Well, I've been pregnant with it for 7 years, and finally, thanks to actually Anne LeClaire and Joan Anderson have been really helpful to me. And actually, they wrote blurbs on the back of it. I mean, they're on their 5th and 6th and 7th books.
Did you ever feel a book is done? Did you struggle with, have I really done?
Good question. Because I've read this again since it's come off the press. Harvard University, Harvard.com is where you can buy it, actually. You can also buy it at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Pretty soon that'll be up. But yeah, I just couldn't believe how much help my writing group was. I was a part of a writing group called, I still am, Bass River Revisionists. And these are all English teachers and people that have written poetry. They're beautiful, beautiful, talented people. And they helped me because I was used to the academies. You know, I got the master's and I did some doctoral work, and it was all telling rather than showing. And finally, I discovered how to really write.
Well, when I think of your holistic coaching, and the beauty of two people together sharing, to me is just, it's joining, it's souls combining their energies and their love and their healing. It must be you must know your clients very well.
Totally. They become friends.
You must love them dearly.
I do. In fact, I write, in fact, they do their healing, but sometimes you cannot be cured. I mean, sometimes you can't. And so I do their eulogies as well. I go and do their eulogies. Actually, I used to go to their homes and help them with the dying process. Not that I worked for hospice at one point as a nurse, but I don't run my own hospice, or didn't run my own hospice. But what I did do was, as a healing coach, go and help that transition happen with grace and in dignity, and that's really what we all want, right?
That is what we all want. Yeah. I think as we get older, we sort of think, well, now look, what are my alternatives as I get older?
Precisely.
Is there some assistance for me if my time has come?
Right.
So, yeah, I want options. I want choices.
Precisely. And that's really what we do. I mean, I in no way use alternative and complementary solely. It's got to be a combination. And the doctors actually work with me too. I mean, when they send me down, they send clients to me from Dana-Farber in particular, for example, I will send my assessment sheets to them as well. And so we coordinate. So you're growing in your own field, and you've got something to keep you very alive. Your chemistry must just love what it's doing. I mean, you must feel so realized. They say when you're joyful, and the book is called Rejoice Regardless. Your chi is heightened.
Let's talk about that. We have 5 minutes to go.
Okay.
Your chi. I always like to encourage my friends that watch this program to, if they're not really thrilled with what they're doing, think about something else. Try something else. Don't ever get locked into what mother thinks you should be doing or what society thinks you should be doing. Always ask yourself, what do I really love to do? I think it's...
And what feels good?
What feels good. Yeah.
Now, what I do for my own healing is not just the self-Reiki, obviously, for myself, but I see Diana DeGioia over at the Community Acupuncture Center.
Oh, yes, sure.
And she is just phenomenal. And what she's done is take it out of the box in terms of the payment schedule is reasonable, so that I can do it once a week. You know, nice. I mean, it's just amazing. She has a sliding scale, and she sees 8 people at once instead of one-on-one, where you're paying for, you know, whatever, $75 or whatever. You can go on the sliding scale from 20 to 40.
Oh, how nice!
And actually, it makes it affordable. And that's really what I've done with Reiki. Per se. We have a lot of free Reiki clinics out there. I started one in Chatham. I started another one in Yarmouth. They're both non-existent right now, but but it's so good for, as you say, your chi. It's so good to be alive. And you know, your body will tell you, your chemistry tells you when you're feeling like that. And you know what else someone's mentioned on my show recently, that everything comes to you when you're really on, when you're doing it. Doors open. Doors just open. You just life happens to you. I do a healer's prayer in the morning, and I say this: I send my love out into the world, attracting all those people, places, and things that can best benefit me. I send my love out into the world, attracting all those people, places, and things that I can best benefit. And I say, come now. Oh, I like that last. And it happens. Yes, come now. I like to feel that I'm just breathing, in the flow. Breathing eternity. My body is holy.
just the word omniscience, omnipotence. It just straightens everything right out.
It sure does. You're in the flow.
Yeah, you're. As we mentioned, we're in the Garden of Eden, and we are there. And the whole idea is to remember and shift our consciousness and realize, step into the realization, feel it, allow it. As you said, surrender to it.
Surrender.
That wonderful word. Surrender.
Letting go.
Letting go. Letting go. Whenever you're in a jam, just sit yourself down and say, now wait a minute. Maybe somebody's got a better idea, especially if I'm obsessing or I'm upset. Why don't you just let it go and ask and then see what comes?
Right.
See what comes. Carla, we have to check out.
Okay.
But you're coming back next week, so
I'd
I'm
love
really
to.
looking forward to talking with you
Thank you,
again. And thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carla, for coming onto my show. We want to have you back next week, and I want to talk to you, my friends, again, and thank you for joining us on Awaken the Dream. Talk to you soon.